Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to have a very weird live class. One, because I was sick last week and didn't really get to prep any class, and two, because I need to test my Viviva color sheets for a whole myriad of reasons. And so
Myriad.
I thought you could kind of see me work that out for myself. John's like, why don't you show them the process? And I'm like, well, they might enjoy seeing that. So you'll have to let me know if you do. So part of this is going to be you guys really helping me with this. I need to pick my favorite colors from the current collection and, see how I like them so that the colors that I use in the Sennelier Aquarelle and the Viviva color sheets would match. We're looking at maybe doing something where we get some custom ones done
Mm-hmm.
that are branded. Like, I really like this because this one says the Art Sherpa never judge a journey by the first step, and I just like that.
You see the little note they put in the back of it?
In the back of what?
All the way to the back. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and there could be like a whole message back here. It could be like a whole thing. And so I'm looking at that, and we have to decide because, you gotta get a bazillion of something. You want to do anything. I can't see the chat, so if I'm not
Oh,
responding to you on Facebook or YouTube, it is just that's what's going on.
well, she just can't see it yet. I'll fix that.
Okay, at some point I will see it, and then
There
the
it
team will be
goes.
here. It's a very light day, guys. Hi, Pamela and Ann and Sharon. It's a light day. It's a chill day. I am going to actually paint something, but I'm going to swatch and then paint something,
Oh.
right? So it's going to be very loose little painting, kind of mentally getting ready for the collab I'm doing with my mom on Monday, which isn't even posted yet. So, when I get sick, it's like my whole like business thing goes, sure.
Huh.
I'm better though. You can hear it. I'm better.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, I can hear it. Better. Did not love that cold.
No.
Mm-mm.
It's still shaking off around.
All right. Now, the Artistico Fabriano paper, that's my paper. That's my jam. I really love it. The company does send me paper, just so you know. I'm telling you as a person online what my relationship is to my art materials so that you know. I also buy my art materials,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I buy. So it's cool that they send it, but it is what I buy. And on the Viviva, I came this close to treating myself to the display stand because I saw that for sale and I was like, you mean I can buy the entire display and all the things in the display just for me, like I go into the art store? So that's where I am with that. Let's get some swatches going.
You get the swatches going.
You
I'm going to
guys
start a
tell me
fire.
what you think is afoot. So this is the original set that they had. And I had these for a very, very long time. And I'm going to swatch them, see what I think is close to my regular palette. I'm going to use my Aqua Soft, my Raphael Soft Aqua, which is the imitation squirrel. No squirrels are harmed in the making of this brush. And let's get some of the crimson. So I could compare that, like, it's a little more biased than the Pyrrole Red. The Pyrrole Red's a little warmer. And this is the deep pink. And I'm not sure I see a significant difference between the crimson. I'm going to rinse out thoroughly. And the deep pink. See what I mean? Kind of really the same. So I like that red, though. If I were to do that red, I'd probably do the crimson. And then we got a color they call vermilion here, which I would say looks a lot to me like a pyrrole orange. So I'm just trying to see how I would equate it to my palette in a dusk orange. So let's see the dusk orange. Now, it's interesting. This is probably much closer to the pyrrole orange, but I really like the dusk orange. So I like both of those. That would be a very tough decision for me to have to make. Chrome yellow. Let's see what chrome yellow is. Oh, that's a nice vibrant yellow. That's like a cad yellow. Gold ochre. Sometimes on these I'm like, yeah, they're pretty close in relationship to each other and you don't really see it till you get to mixing. Burnt umber, color we all know I like. Umber is not that burnt, but I don't mind. Let's see how their burnt sienna is. Oh, that's really good burnt sienna. So just going through and swatching. So what I'd like to do, I think, is um get like a grip of these all with like personalized messages and have them like on my website store. Amy says, how are you feeling? John is holding on pretty good. I'm going to do the light green now, guys. Really like that light green. Like, I love this whole palette right here. And there's the sap green. And this one I think is significantly, darker. I know I would want to have peacock blue in any set that I did. I really like the Viridian. This is pretty dead on for Phthalo Green. Just saying. So yeah, John is doing better. He's doing better. I really like the peacock blue, like a ton. Like a ton. Like when I draw this down, you can see that color is just, so much. Same with the Phthalo, the Viridian, which is really the Phthalo. I really like it. So those are good. That's a nice run. Actually, just the set's pretty okay. The Persian blue, I equate, pretty close to an ultramarine blue. You can kind of see that on the drawdown. down. You can see how it's biased red. So like this would be my phthalo, that would be my ultramarine blue. They've got violet, which I don't personally have in my own watercolor set, but it's nice to have a violet because sometimes it's hard to get that color. Let's draw that down and see that. I'm liking that. The magenta. This is the Quin, man. This is the Quin. And you can see that. That's definitely Quin magenta right there, right? The butcher's wife would like to know, why did the claustrophobic astronaut get into a rocket? I would like to know that if she needed some space. When you're like so sick that you're like, yeah, it's okay. And this is the slate black, which I really do like. And that's the entire set, right? 20 colors, which I do like. Now this is what made me think about doing the custom thing, is they did this for Inktober. And I was like, oh, and they did some unusual colors for Inktober. So they got the crimson, but I'm just testing both of these, right? So I can come back with some color things. They got the crimson, which I still think is a great, bright, spot on red. And then they did a cherry blossom, which you can see is in these two. Let me draw it down. That's significantly pinker. I would say that's more in the family of an opera. The opera pink is more in that family. Isn't it fun to watch somebody just swatch? Okay, burgundy. So burgundy we know is going to be more in a blood red color. I really like it though. And let's see the vermilion, which we already know that we like as a pyrrole orange kind of color. Yeah, the colors on these are very intense. I will say, like, they're difficult to lift because they are staining. So some of the things where you're really lifting your watercolors, it might be more challenging to do that. All right, so dusk yellow, very nice yellow on this dusk orange. And these feel very different this time, don't they? I think they feel very, very, very different. Very different. So I'm kind of liking that. Oh, let's get some happy yellow. And that also feels very different this time. This is like almost like a Hansa yellow, and I really like that. So you could do like, this is a nickel Azo and this is a Hansa yellow. Gold ochre, we already know what we feel about that. Which again, I feel is so in territory with this. I mean, you can see it's a little different, but it is very in territory. So, see the burnt umber. The umber be burnt. Rinsing out. What colors, like, let me know if you were to see a set, what colors would you want to see in the set based on these? Tree bark brown. Oh, that's really great right there. That's a great brown. foliage green. And you can see that's a more yellow bias green. That's a really interesting green in relationship to that one. I would almost like personally combo these sets. You know, if I were to do something, I would really want to combo it. But they've still got the Viridian in here. So, you know, I haven't lost the Phthalo Green. And you can kind of see this and this being so different. And then this mixed with any of these yellows. So like right now, what would I replace? I might swap out this for the quinacridone. Like I like all these reds. The reds are really terrific, but I might want to swap the quinacridone. Okay, peacock blue. Super love it. Still love it. Great color. But this is an ocean blue, right? See the ocean blue there? And now that's even closer, I feel, than this was to an ultramarine. Because you can see the red bias in it. Like as it dries out, like you can see that. This is so in the purple that these are kind of like very aligned. But this is like at least got that bias. Here's the Persian blue. And you can see like, kind of wish it was like a half tone between these two. But we know the violet, which is pretty distinctly violet. Now, this set gets real interesting here because they added all these extra colors for Inktober. So there's the ink blue, right, which is a black that has a blue bias to it. You can kind of see that there, right? And that was sort of cool about it. I don't know. I don't know if you can get these off the website. But you might be able to find sets of them on eBay and stuff if you can't find them on the Viviva website. If like you're like, oh, I gotta have those colors. And then there's the urban gray. You know, these two are pretty spectacular because they're so contrasty to each other. And then there's the translucent white. So it's kind of like, you know, it's a white. Not really. Let me see if I can get some to come over the top of. Yeah, I don't know. I would care about the translucent white. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to me. All right. So that's the sets, you know. Tara says, I was shocked when I did a color chart. Who knew the bias would throw color to? Yeah, bias really throws your color. Knowing this helps you paint anything else because if you don't know the bias, your painting is going to be just very strange. You okay, John? Mm-hmm. I do need like my stuff heated and I'm gonna paint a little something. Let's just have some fun. I'm gonna make a little roof line. First trick about a roof line is that you need two parallel lines that are even. All right, so I'm gonna do one here. And then I'll come down and make a friend that's a little bit longer, see? So there's a roof. And if I connect these, and I've got a little roof, and just to be fun, I'll make a nice vertical, because I like to build a house with straight walls. You know, and I can always sort of imply a little window there. So let's build a world around this little house, shall we? First, let's paint in our house. I thought these were an interesting grouping of reds, so I'll go into the Inktober a little bit, I think, and I'm going to pre-wet the area. Linda Sue says, which set is the peacock blue in? And if that was Facebook, hey Facebook, it is in all the sets. The peacock blue is in all the sets. I do think the peacock blue is just slightly better than the original set. It's so weird how when you swatch it out, you like see the differences. And C. Blanton's like, I should do color swatch with my acrylics. Yes, like the number one thing you can do to have a cheaper, more good time with your paint, your own art, is absolutely swatch. Don't skip swatching.
unskippable steps.
All right. I'm going to come here and I'm going to paint around my roof line a little bit. Kind of pre-wet. Just some, because I want to maybe imply a little bit of sky, perhaps. So let's go into our blues. We had our peacocks here. I thought the peacock was such a fun blue. Maybe I'll start at the bottom with like an ocean. And I'm going to just very randomly wiggle around the ocean blue. And I'm putting in a very light amount of the pigment because even though this is so strongly pigmented, you know, I might want to, for the purposes of a landscape, kind of control that a little bit. So you can see I'm sort of letting it flow where it's going to flow. That looks very nice. Nice little sky. Just making sure that it's everywhere. So pretty little skies flowing out there. Nice little watercolor event that we have. I really liked, you know, it's sort of interesting because the greens on these were so different. I think I'm going to come over into the original set and pull into the green and do their light green because I really love the light green. And I do want this to kind of maybe blend into the sky some, like you do. I'm waiting on the house because I want it to have slightly crisper edges. Let's get some, maybe some of the sap green, which you can see is slightly darker in there. And I'll tap it out, like, oh, this little branch is here.
It's very nice and bloomy.
It's very bloomy. Well, let's put some garden around the house.
This watercolor is not one-dimensional.
No.
Despite,
It is not a one-dimensional. All right, let's get the magenta.
Despite the appearance, it has depth.
I'm going to put some color in this. Maybe like a little bougainvillea. So I'm not mixing. I have my palette here, like if I wanted to mix colors and halftones, I could do that. That's a nice bloom right there. I'm gonna let that be, or be like, oh yeah, you do that. I don't know what that is, but let's do that. I might come over here into this green, which was the foliage green, which was the not so biased blue.
Does Viviva make tubes of color?
You know, we're about to do a whole collaboration with them, and they're releasing some new products.
Huh.
So I can't hint at what's going on at the moment. They make sheets. The other company does this is Peerless. They do also sheets of watercolor. So, and there's certainly some competition between all the companies.
Oh, as there is.
As there always is. And you know what? We just take advantage of it as artists, don't we? We just take advantage of that. Well, that's kind of a nice little,
That is.
could be a little bit of a growth around there that's going on.
A flower plosion.
It could be a flower plosion. I think I'm going to get my peacock blue. And maybe put some of that right here, say, get peacock going into this. I'll work in some ocean, some deep. You know what? Let's go all the way to Persian blue. Let's go right here into the Persian blue. Kind of the dark end of this to be like, oh, these are some dark blue.
It's funny, you cannot use the sheet as a reference for the color it makes.
You cannot, man. This is very helpful here.
You're like, look, I want to use this green. Wait a minute.
This is very helpful here. Like, I really like, let's get into that. This one had the happy yellow, if you guys remember. Happy yellow. So let's pull in some happy yellow. It's such a bright yellow. Let's really put in a lot of it. And then I'm going to come right up and let it draw down into this line here. See how I'm using the happy yellow and allowing it to draw down? I can easily put more green over this bright color, but it will be tough getting bright back in. So that's why I'm like doing this now. I'm going to get into my dusk orange. Just a slightly deeper color. And you'll notice that I do allow, keep getting into that dusk orange, I do allow some white to be held. So even if it dry brushes and it like leaves some white, I'm not going to pull all that out. More dusk orange.
Oh, thank you to all the supporters. Thank you, Deborah.
And let's...
Star senders and patrons, thanks you.
I think between the cherry blossom and the magenta, I think I'll try the cherry blossom at the bottom. Thank you very much for supporting this. And let us know if you would be interested in a set, right, of the Viviva color sheets. It would match. We would talk about how it matched. I'd make sure you guys had the swatch sheets so you know how to exchange. This has got to be Quin Red is what this is. That's what I think it is. I'm going to pull back into some peacock blue because it's just cheeky right here. I want some.
Oh, that's bloomy.
It's bloomy, and I'm going to lean into the bloom, right? I'm going to test this peacock blue against the other peacock blue. This is the other one. And see, I feel that's deeper. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
So that'll be something I want to watch for.
You're like, just different hues of blues.
Yeah, but I really like this
saturated one.
Yeah, I like the super saturated one.
One.
You know, and this looks pretty good here, right? I kind of like this just a little bit. I might come over and get into my crimson, right? We could have some red flowers that maybe are happening out there. While it's still wet, I'll put some in there, and then later I'll come back with some, perhaps over the dry. So right now I'm trying to let some blooming happen, some like wet into wet action happen because it's going to seep in and stop. Let's get some of our maybe sap green. Nope, I'm going to come back over to my Inktober and get my foliage green. That'd be like a hunter's green. You can see here it's drying, it's not blooming, and it's holding. And that's very good, and that lets me, you know, create some hard edge lines.
Amy's like, interested in one set? No. Interested in all the sets? Definitely.
Yeah. That's about what it is. I mean, I would like to like kind of, if it's possible, figure out how to like pick like our specific colors that I like. I'm going to add a little bit of dark green there to try to structure some of that. All right, so we're good. Look at this. This is just doing really well. So we've got this little kind of loose floral that's happening here, you know, and I like this. Very good. If this is dry and this is dry, then I can come in with, say, my crimson. And I'm going to get some crimson. And just start.
Pamela says, I've been interested in these since the first time you demonstrated it.
Yeah, no, they're very cool. And again, love my Sennelier. Sennelier is the bomb.
They just don't come in plainer options.
They just don't.
It's just
Get some vermilion in here.
these guys are what we call discreet. You could put it in your everyday carry. See, some guys are like, paint for my everyday carry. I'm listening.
Yeah, well, they're very good for travel. They're very good for just I've got to do something like you may see there's dogs playing under my feet, so if you see everything bouncing, that is what is afoot. So I'm just adding some foliage coming over that roof line.
Oh, wrong way.
What if your 2023 palette was in a book of sheets? How cool would that be? That would be cool, right? That would be so cool. I would like that. I really liked this ink blue, which was here. This blue bias, it's like a Payne's gray. I like this and I like this gray. But I think I'm going to kind of maybe work some of this with a little of the ink blue. I know, she's got a whole thing happening there, doesn't she? Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's I don't know if you guys heard it, but that's why we have breakaway mic cables in here.
Oh.
Is
Did the
that
dog leave with your mic
she
cable?
just came through and just snapped it right off. Just ting!
No.
It's okay. It's the I have a headset with a pull out connector for that exact reason. So if you like stand up and walk away, it pops out instead of it's a cool Sennheiser headset. I don't know. It's what it does.
What I'm doing here is I'm actually intentionally coming while the roof is still wet. I want that color to kind of come down because that's sort of what makes watercolor awesome, isn't it? When that color kind of comes in. And I use that slate gray, so I got a window and I've got a little roof and it's kind of like a whole little deal. I don't know. It's like, I liked it.
I like it.
I'm going to see if I can push the front of the roof line maybe a direction if I come in with a lighter color, but it won't. Sometimes on my watercolor on my nickel Azo, it really pushes other colors. You can see what I mean, like the lift on it is minimal. So you kind of got to know where you're going. You got to be like, I know where I'm going and I know where I've been. And this is what's happening here.
So they have a cake question.
Mm.
Will these paints go the distance?
What does the distance mean?
You know, how long will they last?
I don't know. I've had I've had this one for a very long time. You can go back and see when the deer was that I did it. Oh, thank you, Julie. I gave my kids some of these to test. It's not that I'm like, oh, people send me art supplies and I just throw them at my kids. That would be rude. But what I do is like sometimes if I want to see how resilient something is, I run it past the kids and I can say that they worked them into the ground and had them for months and months and months.
Yeah, the rumor is that it lasts approximately as long as a half pan of paint. And it seems that that's pretty true from the anecdotal feedback we've gotten from folks who've used them.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been unhappy with the number of paintings they've gotten out of the little books.
Yeah, me either. I've been super pretty pleased with it overall.
Yes.
Pretty pleased. I'll get into my wood
into
one.
That friendly relationship because they're good peoples.
All right, I'm gonna get wet and we're gonna do some like
bark bark, says the dog.
Remember we talked about doing some structural flowers. Sometimes when you do this type of landscape, if you do like structure.
Hey, guys, chill it out.
They're playing.
There's something.
What it is there's but two chews, you know? So I'm just kind of making little structured lines, and that sort of implies little flowers that you can see, doesn't it? And I'm glazing over it, and where it glazes on the magenta, it works very much again like Quinn, so over the blue it goes quite purple. You can kind of come along there. I might get back into my peacock blue, which is a good dark color. I'm going to see how it covers. See how it covers. Doesn't cover badly. I'm kind of making some structures that have those like plant-like feels.
Ooh. It's got a definite shrubbery about it.
It's got a little shrubbery about it. Sometimes when you do stuff like this, it's just really nice to come back with like hard lines in combination with the soft lines. Actually, this is really pretty. For just to like, hey, what are we doing today? This is really pretty. This is not bad. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Let's get into our Viridian again, which as we know is our deep phthalo green. And I think it's good sometimes to kind of get some little grass lines in there. It says, oh, like in this little landscape, some things were afoot. I'd say the hardest thing about doing something like this is just staying chill long enough for it to settle. You know, because sometimes put some little dark centers in there. Sometimes if you put dark centers into things, they'll feel more like flowers too. Oh, Twix is under here. And I know because the farting has begun.
Oh no!
Oh no, it's bad. This dog.
You're in the green machine.
The green, like you are so like completely trapped. There's no untrapping. All right, so we've got our violet, which is kind of a nice color. So I can come in here and maybe even create some hard shapes to talk about the shadows that could be in the bougainvillea. Get into my magenta. My magenta. You know, we just go to the top of that soft space and it creates a little garden area for us.
Mm-hmm.
And the glaze creates little flowers. I mean, I'm kind of into this. I'm going to be truthful, guys. I'm sort of into it.
I think it's pretty cool.
All right. Now I'm going to go back into this because this had that crazy tree barky color, which they were calling, I think it was the tree bark brown. Yeah, I really like that. And I'm going to come along my roof. Or dry brush this up. Cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Give it a little thing. Then I'm going to come back to my ink blue. A little patina. Oh, guys, look at what we did. I hope you did this with me, with your own colors. I think you could do this with any colors. This was just sort of a, let's see what we can just Mediterranean freeform kind of think about, creating little plant lives with little red roofs. You can do kind of an infinite number of these, this little box with a red roof, and you just put flowers in it, and it'll have a real Mediterranean feel. I dig that. I dig it. Don, I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna sign it? Now, you might be wondering, acrylic April, how will that impact Watercolor Wednesday? What will happen is probably Watercolor Wednesday will be later in the day, maybe in the evenings over April, or release. I haven't decided if I'm going to pre-record them and release them or we're going to do them live in the evenings, but I will let you guys know. I am traveling for part of it to go to the North American Trade Show Association. I'm going to be doing some live painting and demoing and doing some stuff. So during that time, it'll either be a release or we'll wait to the next week. But yeah, Ken A, did anyone paint along? I'm Michael Art. I'm so glad to see you, and I'm so glad to see Ken. Yeah, if anybody painted along, let me know, because this was sort of a weird. Look at how nicely that settled out. And doesn't it just feel like a little study? Like the kind of thing you might do with this, like if you were traveling, like say we had a retreat over in Europe, and you'd like pull one of these out and be like, I'll just sketch this little moment. I think that's how that came out. I kind of, we might do more of these. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You know, so hopefully you painted along and hopefully you guys are doing really well right now. I am feeling better.
I am too.
So much better. John is better. Honey's better. Spider's better. Everybody's better. And we're so grateful to be better. It's just, the last few years really have, I think, helped us all truly appreciate our good health. You know, and it's so scary to get a cold. You know, because you have the home test now, but like you have that moment and it's a different experience. And so it was a big cold, but I'm better now. Mm-hmm. All right. And I want you guys to stay better, stay safe, stay healthy, keep washing your hands. Because remember, other viruses are out there. Okay. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. And I want to see you at a watercolor tablet real soon. Bye-bye.